So, right now, we are in the first chapter of the book of Genesis, which is the whole chapter is the entire account of creation. And we're just going to read a little bit of it. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Heavens is plural. We're talking about planets, we're talking about universes. So in the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and the darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and the darkness night. And evening passed and morning came, marking the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a space between the waters to separate the waters of the heavens and the waters of the earth." And that is what happened. God made this space to separate the waters of the earth and the waters of the heavens. God called the space sky. And evening passed and morning came, marking the second day. Then God said, "Let the waters beneath the sky flow together into one place, so dry ground may appear." And that is what happened. God called the dry ground land and the water seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land sprout with vegetation, every sort of seeding bearing plant and trees that grow seeding bearing fruit. These seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came." And that is what happened. The land produced vegetations, all sorts of seed bearing plants and trees with seed bearing fruit. Their seeds produced plants and trees of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening passed and the morning came, marking the third day. Then God said, "Let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night." And so we're talking about stars and the moon. "Let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. Let these lights in the sky shine down on the earth." And that it is what happened. God made two great lights, the larger one to govern the day and the smaller one to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set these lights in the sky to light the earth. So to govern the day and night and to separate light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And evening passed and morning came, marking the fourth day. So we're going to stop right there and you can continue to read on your own time. But basically, let me just summarize what happened on the 7 days. So, day one, light was created. Day two, atmosphere ferment. Day three, dry ground and plants. Day four, sun, moon, and stars. Day five, birds and sea creatures. Day six, land animals and human beings, right? And day seven is when God had rested. Okay, so now you know how God created the heavens and earth. And we're just going to listen to a clip here on the Yale University channel on YouTube. And they're talking about in this video how they basically just want to recreate the Big Bang Theory with this particle accelerator.
For a large ion collider experiment at the Large Hadron Collider at Cern in Geneva, Switzerland. My name is John Harris. I'm a physicist. I'm a professor of physics here at Yale. I'm the national coordinator here in the US for the ALICE experiment. The goal of the Large Hadron Collider with heavy ions, and namely the ALICE experiment in particular, is to recreate conditions that existed some 10 microseconds after the Big Bang, when all of the matter in the universe was in the form of very hot soup of quarks and gluons. Quarks and gluons are part of the fundamental constituents of matter. There are different types of quarks that make up what we see as particles, and gluons hold the quarks together, which are the constituents of the particles that we know. We'd like to study this at such early times to try and understand how the universe evolved. And we basically understand what happened since that time, some 10 microseconds after the Big Bang, when later on nuclei and atoms and galaxies and solar systems were formed. But as we go backwards towards the Big Bang in time, it is much more difficult to know. And so we're trying to establish what were the conditions and what really took place in those first few microseconds. Why are we colliding heavy ions together? Well, heavy ions are heavy nuclei, and we're colliding specifically lead at very, very near the speed of light. So they're traveling very fast with tremendous amount of energy. And so all this energy that they're taking with them when they collide is being converted into making particles and antiparticles. So there's matter and antimatter being made out of energy. And so we have lots of particles coming out. And once we study those particles, we kind of reconstruct back in time, back to when the collision took place, and try to get the temperature and the properties of the matter that existed at that very initial part of the collision. The Large Hadron Collider started operating just this year for physics, and at the very highest energies ever started colliding lead nuclei, heavy ions as we call them, the beginning of November, and it'll operate in this mode for 1 month. Already, after just 2 weeks of operation with lead ions, we've started to analyze the data. We're already starting to publish papers. It's an extremely exciting time. This doesn't happen often, and they've started a new machine, and we've entered a new era colliding these heavy nuclei at these high energies, and we expect to have some discoveries over the next 5-10 years, maybe even only the next year or two.
So now that you listen to the recording, what I interpreted from the recording was basically this: they clearly reject that God created the heavens and earth. And so they're trying to recreate the Big Bang Theory that never even happened in the first place. They're saying that they believe the Big Bang Theory happened. Something came out of nothing, blew up and fell into place. That's basically what they're saying. And so, like I said, we went from particles to atoms to planets to galaxies, and they believe that this is how the universe came to be, was this Big Bang Theory. Now they're trying to, now with this, they're trying to prove the Big Bang Theory with this particle accelerator that they have built, and they're putting all this time and energy, and you could tell that the professors seem all excited about this and all this other stuff. But you're basically trying to recreate the Big Bang Theory. That's a lie. It never even happened. And you're trying to recreate it? I just don't get it. But us as believers, we believe that God created the heavens and earth. And it's left up to, the listener. If you're not a believer, you have a choice to make, whether you believe these people or you believe in the Bible and you believe that God created. Now, if I wasn't a believer and I read the first book of Genesis, and then I read about how the Big Bang Theory came to be, it's, to me, the Bible's more detailed in how things came to be about. And the Big Bang Theory is just like, it leaves you with more questions. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense. That's just how I look at it. Just doesn't make any sense. And so it's just easier to believe that God created the heavens and the earth. And it's just poetic the way it goes into it. And so, this is what I mean about scientists trying to play God. And not only trying to play God, but rejecting what God has done, taking a lie and trying to prove it to be true, recreating something that never even happened. so that you then can turn around and tell the future generations, now, this is how the universe came to be from the Big Bang Theory, right? It's a lie. And they're trying to prove it with this particle accelerator. It's just mind blowing.